Hello everyone, welcome to yet another edition of Real Crimes with me. So if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe. If you are an old subscriber, welcome back and thank you for stopping by. Please don't forget to like, to comment, to share. I really enjoy your comments. I really like to know what you think about these stories, and if you have any suggestions, if you have any thing to say, please don't hesitate to comment down below. Okay, so in today's story we are going to South Africa. Like I said, on this channel we talk about all stories that are affecting Africans and Zimbabweans from everywhere, mostly Zimbabweans, from wherever they are. So in today's story we are going to the Republic of South Africa, and the year is 2019. Early 2019, the internet was awash with a video of a man being resurrected by Prophet Alph Lukau. So Alph Lukau is a man from the DRC, and he lives in South Africa. He has a ministry there in South Africa, and he does all these miracles. Okay, so this particular one was like actually resurrecting somebody from the dead, and the man that he resurrected from the dead was Elliot. We all know this guy as Elliot. His name was Brighton Elliot Moyo, and so this was his South African name. That's not the name they knew him as back home. So the story goes like this. Elliot had died for 3 days. He was in a mortuary, and on this particular Sunday morning, or is it a Sunday afternoon, I'm not sure, his family had organized to actually take his body home, and they passed by Lukau's church. Why? I do not know. But yeah, for some reason they passed through the church, and when they were passing through the church, it is said that somebody said the man Elliot was moving his fingers. He was moving his fingers. He was in a coffin. How somebody saw that he was moving his fingers in a closed coffin, only God knows. I guess those are the miracles, right? You can even see through a coffin, see that somebody inside is moving their fingers. So when they realized that he was moving his fingers, they decided they would take him into the church premises and have the prophet pray for him. So they drove the hearse into the church premises, and you could actually hear a lady saying that, "Prophet, there's somebody outside, and this person has been dead for 3 days, but as they were passing through our church, the person started moving his fingers, and they've brought him to the holy ground." You know, that kind of thing, like the cheerleader. I call them cheerleaders. So yeah, the cheerleader was there cheering on, and yeah, suddenly the prophet is outside and he's praying for this man and touching him, and he's commanding him to wake up, which he did. He woke up. And yeah, so if you check the internet around that time, like the internet was also awash with people doing the Elliot challenge. A lot of people actually took the challenge, and yeah, they did it. Some did it very well, others were just so, like what the Chinese say, just so. So yeah, and while all this is happening, what I noticed was, first and foremost, when the coffin was opened, Elliot's mouth was open. Now, I don't know, funeral homes people, is that how you prepare a body for burial? Like you leave the mouth open? I do not know. And the second thing, I didn't see this one, but people actually said that he had a mobile phone on him. He had a mobile phone showing in his pocket. I didn't see that part. So yeah, and then after he had resurrected, he was taken into church, into the church building, where he was given some food. So because he had just risen, he couldn't eat by himself. Somebody had to assist him, right? And then later on, Lukau, after he had come under a lot of fire, people questioning this miracle, he was interviewed and he said he never resurrected anybody. He said that the people that were with him, with the body, actually saw that he was moving. The only reason he prayed for Elliot was so that he could get out of the coffin and he could actually be strong, because yeah, he was frail. He had just come back from the dead. He had been dead for 3 days. So he just prayed for him to be strong. But that's not what the video says. Like, when you're watching the video of the resurrection, that's not what the video says. But anyway, yeah, that was his version. He went back on his word and he changed the narrative. One wonders why. So people were not happy. Like, a lot of people were not happy with that, and a lot of people started to question things. What I find weird actually is it seems like people in Lukau's ministry actually believed the whole thing. They seemed like super excited. They seemed like they believed what was happening. You know how people get when they start believing in somebody. They will defend that person to their grave, and they will justify everything, that, especially when it comes to religion. Now, I don't have a problem against any prophet, pastor, men of God, or we are all people of God. I'll just call them men of the cloth. I don't have a problem with them indoctrinating their people, but I just have a problem with the people that actually believe some of these things. Those are the people that I always tend to question, like, are you okay? Why are you even believing this? But anyway, people actually did believe. The congregation believed. The congregation was celebrating. People were moved. People were crying. Yes. This was the doing of the Lord. They were seeing the hand of the Lord. Like, God was in control. Everything was... Sometimes I wonder, what God thinks when he sees us doing these things. Sometimes I wonder, like, is he just going to strike us down with lightning or something when we're doing these things? Is he just going to shame us? But yeah, God is God. He doesn't think like us, right? So, people that were not really happy with this, of course, people were affected by this thing. The first company that was affected by this miracle was a funeral company called Kings and Queens. Now, this is a reputable company, guys. This is a good company that actually repatriates Zimbabweans from South Africa back home when they've passed on in South Africa. They do repatriation, they do the paperwork and everything. So Elliot and his team just had to rob them in somehow. They used a Haze branded Kings and Queens, not just a fake brand, but the real brand, like the real vehicle from the company. That's the vehicle that they used to go to Lukau's church. They had to make it look as real as possible, and that included tarnishing somebody else's name, that included tarnishing the image of a company. However, they came out and did a press conference and said that they were not involved in this shenanigans, and that what actually happened was the family came to them that morning and said that they had had a problem with the funeral company that had done their paperwork that was supposed to repatriate Elliot's body. So they just needed the vehicle to take them home. Otherwise, the paperwork was in place. Everything else was okay. The body had been prepared. They just needed a vehicle, and they just hired out their vehicle without like doing any checks, whether there were papers in place and whether the body really existed. They never did that. Of course, when you talk of death, you don't expect people to fake those things, right? When people are talking of death, you actually just automatically assume that it is true. You don't expect anybody to be faking their death. So yeah, they had hired the vehicle from King and Queens. So they came out and cleared their name. Other people that actually came out to talk about this incident, Elliot worked for a carpentry company. Yeah, so his boss spoke and said that For some time, Elliot had been trying to recruit his colleagues to come and do the drama. According to him, it was a drama. So he said he was trying to recruit his colleagues to come and join in the drama. And also one of his friends from his neighborhood where he was staying in South Africa, Ekasi there, he said that Elliot had actually tried to recruit him and told him that he would be paid 1,000 to 1,500 rand if he spoke well and convincing. His English had to be good and he had to speak convincingly, because Lukau is not a local, so you had to talk to him in English. So if his English was good and he had acted convincingly, he would get between 1,000 and 1,500 rand. So that was like an easy way of making money, right? I don't know. So his friend also said he had tried to recruit him, but he had declined the offer. Okay, so what then happens after Elliot had resurrected? Elliot got into trouble with the law. Elliot was being hunted for by the South African police services. They wanted him arrested. Not only did they want him arrested, or maybe they just wanted him to answer some questions concerning the miracle, but not only did they want that, but also not only was that his problem, his other problem was that Elliot got sick. Elliot got sick and he could not get out of the house because he was scared of the police. He started hiding. He would like stay in the house throughout the day and probably just step out a bit during the night just to get some air. But Elliot got sick also. So when he was admitted in hospital and he heard that the police were moving around looking for him in the hospital, whether they were looking for him or they were just there conducting some police business, we don't know, but he discharged himself and ran away from the hospital, but he really wasn't well. Okay, so he discharged himself and decided that since he could not stay in the country and just looking over his shoulder all the time, his best bet was just to go back home to Zimbabwe. Okay, that's Elliot. What about Lukau? I understand the South African Council of Churches called him to order. They told him that he shouldn't be doing that. He should stop that. And I just feel like he got a slap on the wrist. I didn't see anywhere where he was charged, really like criminally charged. Okay, I didn't see. It was, yeah, the Council of Churches that called him to order, that probably had a sitting with him and told him that, you know, he needs to stop. But there was also a very interesting figure that came to call Lukau out. Prophet Mboro. Can you imagine? Him of all people went to Lukau's church premises and called Lukau and told him to come out and talk to him, and Lukau did not show up. He didn't come out, so he was really upset and he decided to pray for the men of the cloth, and he decided it was his place to actually call Lukau to order, to tell him that, you know, what you're doing is wrong. You are giving a bad image to the body of Christ. You are playing with the name of the Lord, and it should stop. You cannot be doing fake miracles. But who was Pastor Mboro? Like, why is he even called that? So what is he famous for? This man is famous for a lot of dodgy things. He is that pastor or that prophet, or I don't know what they call him, who goes into couples' bedrooms praying for them while they're in bed so that they can get the action happening. If a couple is having problems in their bedroom, he comes into your bedroom and prays for you and tells you what to do, and he is watching. So that's the man who went to call Lukau to order. The kettle calling the pot black. But anyway, yeah, he did that. He called the men of God to order, and when the men of God did not, the men of the cloth, come on, not men of God, the men of the cloth did not come out of his church to meet him, he went on his knees and prayed to God and prayed that yeah, this man stops whatever nonsense that he's doing and stop faking these miracles and crying out to God to forgive him for, calling the Lord's name in vain, for giving a bad name to the body of Christ, and. Now, when it comes to religion, like, those are very sensitive issues, honestly. But yeah, for me, I just felt like Moro was the last person to. You shouldn't have even be there, He should have been hiding somewhere because, yeah, he's just equally as bad. But yeah, anyway, he found it suitable for him to go and call that man out. So what happened to Elliot is Elliot went home because he was not feeling well. And when he got home, according to his grandmother, he was admitted into a local hospital because he was not feeling very well. So they said that when he came from South Africa, there are actually two versions as to what killed Elliot. One version said that he came from South Africa with severe pneumonia. So because he was not able to go into the hospital to get medication because he was running away from the police, the pneumonia had deteriorated, and by the time he got home and got admitted into a hospital, it was too late and he died. The other version says he came home vomiting blood and complaining of stomach cramps, and then he was admitted to the hospital and then he died. Now, I'm not even sure if the pneumonia and the vomiting of blood can actually talk to each other. I think medical people can actually educate me on this one. Can somebody be vomiting blood because they have got pneumonia? I don't know. So yeah, he finally passed on. But now let's look back a bit to see who this Brighton Elliot Moyo was. So Brighton Elliot Moyo was born Thabiso Mlanje. He was born in Lupane, Matabeleland North in Zimbabwe. He grew up there and went to Gogo Primary School, and there he was known as an excellent soccer player. It is said that he really was talented in that field, and he married a local girl, and they both moved to South Africa in 2011 to look for jobs. Now, the grandmother said that while they were in South Africa, each time they would have a child, they would send the child to Zimbabwe for the grandma to look after the child. And he also had a brother called Stanley, and Stanley said that, before we talk about Stanley, let's talk about what grandma said. Grandma said that she was very confused about what was happening in Thabiso's life. Now we're calling him Thabiso, we're back home, Elliot is South Africa. We are back in Zim. We're now in Lupani. This is Thabiso. How? What Elliot? This is Thabiso now. So Thabiso, according to grandma, she was really confused about what Thabiso was doing in his life, because she says at one stage she heard that he had died, and then he had resurrected, and now he had come home and he was really sick. So she said that she was really confused about what he was doing with his life, because she just thought he was working in South Africa because he would just send money, send food stuffs, and she was just content that her grandson was working in South Africa. She didn't know that he was doing all these shenanigans, And the brother said that it was really like he was a great candidate for this miracle, because Thabiso had been in hospital for some time. He was not feeling well, and the family knew that he had poor health for quite a while. So he had been in hospital for a while. So when he came out of the hospital, that's when this miracle thing happened. And he would have been a perfect candidate because he had lost a lot of weight, and he didn't really look well. He looked a bit frail. Of course, we think that it was all acting. But those that actually knew him, like his family, they actually said, no, he wasn't looking well. He was really looking sick. That wasn't his normal body. And that was a body of somebody who had just gotten out of the hospital. And remember, he was just 28. But when you look at those videos, does he really look 28? When you look at his photos, did he really look 28? He actually looked a bit older, and I would take it that it was because he had been unwell for some time. So the brother was saying that he actually made a perfect candidate because he had been unwell for some time. Now, I'm thinking, why, Tabiso, why would you do that? Probably because he had been in hospital for some time. He needed a kickstart, like no money. He haven't been working. He had been in hospital. So he just needed something to boost him quickly and, get something, probably start going to work. Because his boss said that he had worked for 6 months, but he couldn't even collect his wages because he was scared of the police. So yeah, it probably just needed a quick start just after he got out of hospital. That's why he went into this, he did the miracle, because that's like 1,000. Like, I think his acting was good. He probably got 1,500, rand from that. And that would mean now he has transport money to go to work. Yeah. And probably lunch money as well. Who knows? So yeah, that's my assumption, that he did it because he really needed the money. Now, remember we said Tabiso married a local girl. So the local girl was asked, what was the miracle about? She said she didn't know anything. She said she wasn't involved. She didn't know what her husband did during his extra or his free time. She had no idea that he was going to do that miracle. And she didn't have anything else to say. Rather, she was saying that she just wanted to go back to South Africa and work because that's where she was working and she had a job. So after his burial, she just wanted to go back to South Africa and work. The brother could not ask him what really happened according to what he said. He said he couldn't ask him like anything about the miracle because when he got home, he was really frail. He was really in a bad shape. So the family decided that they would let him recover first, and then they would ask him what that was about. He never got to recover, so they never got to know what that was about. So we can safely say Tabiso took his secret to the grave. Whatever that was happening in Lukau's church concerning miracles, he did not share with anybody. But I still suspect his wife knew. I don't know. Is it possible that his wife didn't actually know anything? I don't know. But anyway, according to her, she didn't know anything. And yeah, let's take her word for it. Why should we question her if she is not prepared to talk about it? Yeah. So anyway, Tabiso was buried. He died in his village in April of 2019, and he was buried in his village in Lupane, Matabeleland North in Zimbabwe. After he had died, the ZRP, the Zimbabwe Republic Police officers, came to his village to actually inquire of his whereabouts. And they were told that he had passed on. They actually needed proof. They demanded to see his death certificate. They demanded to see his grave. They demanded to see any records that he had been in hospital. They said it was a routine procedure because somebody had tipped them off that there was a fugitive who was in the neighborhood, and the fugitive was running away from the laws of South Africa. So it turns out that Tabiso had been charged in South Africa. I'm not sure what they were charging him with, actually. Fraud? Faking your own death? Is that a crime? I don't know. And they decided, after they had seen all the evidence, they decided that, okay, fine, he was actually indeed dead and the case would just have to rest. So they said that they were just doing their duty just to help their South African counterpart to hunt down a fugitive. And if he was there, they would probably help them to apprehend him and start the extraditing procedures. But yeah, that wouldn't happen because he had just passed on. Indeed, he had passed on. So now I'm still wondering what he was being charged with that actually made him decide to run away from South Africa and come back home. That made him decide to run away from the hospital. What was his crime? Do you guys think Tabiso, aka Elliot, had anything to answer to? If he was being charged, how come Lukau was not being charged? How come the camera people, the lady who was the cheerleader, she was not being charged? Why was he the only one being charged? And what was he being charged with? Do you believe, guys, that he actually had a case to answer? I don't know. I just feel like he probably had no case to answer. Maybe they just wanted to ask him to clarify certain things about the miracle so that this thing does not continue happening. But yeah, probably somebody advised him that what he had done was really bad and he would go down for it. So he decided to run away. So we can actually say Tabiso, aka Elliot, carried the secrets of Lukau's church to his grave, and also whatever he was being charged with, he did not see a day in court. Now, some of his friends actually said Elliot was murdered. They say that Elliot was poisoned because Elliot had become a liability in the ministry. They say there was a chance, it looked like he was going to crack, and that was not going to do well for the ministry. So some of his friends actually said he was poisoned. Even his colleagues at work said that he was poisoned. His boss also said that he heard people talking, his colleagues just talking in the corridors, that Elliot had been poisoned and he was going to die because he had become a liability to the ministry. So what are your thoughts? What killed Elliot? What was he being charged with? Did he really have a case to answer? If there was a case to answer, why was Lukau not also running away from the police? Why wasn't the cheerleader running away from the police? Why weren't the camera people running away from the police? Why only him? Or do you think he just panicked? Or because he was being hunted by the police, they were scared that he was going to spill the beans and they decided to take him out? What do you think really happened to Elliot? Comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is the story of the day, and I hope you enjoyed that. I really need to hear what your thoughts are. Do comment down below what you think could have happened and what you think about this story. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. There is COVID out there. Stay away from crime. If you do crime, you are most likely to do the time. Be blessed.